and I spent several hours in conversation with our Chinese counterparts over the last couple of days, and we certainly know and knew going in that there are a number of areas where we are fundamentally at odds, including China's actions in Xinjiang with regard to Hong Kong, Tibet, increasingly Taiwan, as well as actions that it's taking in cyberspace. And it's no surprise that when we raised those issues, clearly and directly, we got a defensive response. But we were also able to have a very candid conversation over these many hours on an expansive agenda, on Iran, on North Korea, on Afghanistan, on climate. Our interests intersect. On economics, on trade, on technology. We told our counterparts that we are reviewing these issues with close consultation with Congress, with our allies and partners, and we will move forward on them in a way that fully protects and advances the interests of our workers and our businesses. But just to take a step back for a moment, there are two things that we wanted to do in coming here and meeting with our Chinese counterparts. First, we wanted to share with them the significant concerns that we have about a number of the actions that China's taken and the behavior it's exhibiting, concerns shared by our allies and partners, and we did that. We also wanted to lay out very clearly our own policies, priorities, and worldview, and we did that too.
Einar Tangen, he's in Beijing and is a China analyst. Thank you so much for your time. We heard there a bit from Mutalib talking about what the US wanted out of this meeting. What was China hoping to achieve?
Well, Yasmin, there were two different agendas that were present. The U.S. Very clearly wanted to send a kind of grandstand message. They had preceding to the actual talks had let's put 24 Hong Kong officials on the blacklist, delisted 3 Chinese tech companies, and taken other fairly aggressive actions, something you don't normally do in the lead up to a diplomatic meeting. They also gave an invitation which China accepted to come to Anchorage. This is unusual because in a meeting of this type, when you're trying to lay out different sides, generally it's at a third party, neutral country, not on one individual's territory, another, one country's territory, another. So what we've seen here is, as the reporter suggested, a lot of talk, a lot of action. A lot of talk, very little action. We are really no closer to understanding exactly where the U.S. is going. From the Chinese perspective, they wanted to have a dialogue. They wanted to know where they could, cooperate, not only just on international issues like climate change, global health response to COVID-19, et cetera, but also on the economic side of the Trump tariffs, which had been pushed unilaterally but continued by Biden. They didn't quite understand exactly what was the purpose behind that. I don't think they're any clearer now, other than Biden is pursuing an America first and contain China strategy, much as his predecessor, Donald Trump, did.
One of the points you've just raised is the fact that these talks were held in Alaska, which is obviously in the U.S., and they're usually held, as you said, in a neutral country. But China did accept that invitation. And some of the other very unusual things that came out was these very public comments that the media was privy to, that the whole world was watching, very scathing opening comments from both countries. Is that a bit of an indication of just the frustration felt from both sides?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, both sides have laid out a lot of red lines. They just don't know where the open doors are. And what you had here was, it was Blinken. I think Blinken went first and started, in essence, saying that China is an evil empire, and there's grave concerns about the standards of the rule of law and things like that. It was calculated to elicit some response. I think even he was surprised at how vociferous the Chinese response was. I think he might have been anticipating the Chinese would just kind of lay down because that's a stereotype of Asians. So, at this juncture, as I said, there's been a lot of talk, but there's not any real clarity on how these two are going to come together. There were some hopeful notes at the end. The Chinese retreated back to diplomatic language, indicating that they had hopes for the future, and that there were parts where, on climate change, exchange of students and academics, visas, health visas, things like that. But, given the upsurge in violence against anybody who's perceived as Asian in the United States, it's doubtful that they'll have many takers.
Einar Tangen, great to get your take on this. Much appreciated.